join the antisocial network.
Yeah. Mask up, stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah, right.
Howdy, YeahUhH listeners and viewers. We are talking once again to Randee Dawn. This time, Randee, I actually read the book we're supposed to be discussing.
Always.
The last time I had read a different book than we were discussing. She had more than one out. And I got really lost in the conversation pretty quick. But I will say that I absolutely loved the book that I read. So, and I enjoyed this one. I was looking forward to books in that vein. If you write more about that particular universe, I would love to see it. But this new universe, you've got 2 books in this universe that are not actually connected. Right. And there are some linguistic things that are happening that make it a challenging read.
Okay.
I get. And I didn't actually need the glossary for this one. I believe with the song, the
only song worth singing.
Yeah, the only song worth singing. That I will probably need the glossary more because I am not fluent in Irish, in spite of the fact that one of my favorite authors is an Irish expat, excluding yourself, of course.
Right. Yeah. I don't expect, by the way, anybody to be fluent in any particular language, whichever one of these books you're reading, right? Like,
right.
My goal was to flavor it with words that the characters who are from Ireland or would likely to be using, or phrases that they might throw out. Like, I mean, I'm Jewish, so occasionally we have a Yiddish phrase here and there, and like, hopefully you're getting it from context. But then there was the hope that if you didn't get it from context, we do have the glossary in the back. But it's not. I don't want anybody to be afraid, like, oh, I can't read that book because.
Yeah, I will be reading the book, and what I might be doing is it going to be available in Audible anytime soon?
I would like it to be, but the rights for those 2 books have not been sold for audio yet. I believe the first book that you read, and I'm not saying mistakenly, because anytime somebody wants to read one of my books, it's great. But the first book you read, I believe, was Tune In Tomorrow, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and that does have an audio book.
And and that's why I found it.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love it if there was, anybody out there wants to have these books in audio, please, contact me, contact my publisher. He'll help you with that.
Yeah. And if this particular book that we're talking about today, Leave No Trace, there is a patois that I'm not sure, unless it was done in professional audio, that it would be pronounced in the way you heard it in your head.
It would be interesting.
So it'd be
because if I were to do the read aloud version of Kindle, I don't think you'd have the same thing. It would be hesitant. It would just be,
it would be mangled.
Yeah, it would be mangled
by
and autocorrect. It would be just. I don't like the sound of those. So
yeah, exactly.
So I have read that book on paper, or so to speak, in Kindle.
I appreciate it. Yeah. For sure. And however you read it with your eyes is fine. It's a whole other discussion to say if you're listening to it. To me, like, they're equal, but they're not.
Yes, exactly. I do that. I mean, do you do that, Aaron, when you audio versus paper?
I never audio, so.
He never audios. He looks down his nose at us for doing the audio. But
yeah, that's okay.
Check the audio.
Well, no, this time I didn't read the book, so you can look down your nose at me. Yeah. It's my turn to read.
Oh, and in one of the podcasts that we listened to in preparation for this podcast, yes, we deep dive. But you talked about, I'm assuming you're younger than me. Well, I'm 59, and I'm older than those 2.
Not by much.
Well,
but yes, a little.
Randee, why don't you spread?
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Why don't you spread your wings? Tell us a bit about the new book.
Mm-hmm.
Leave No Trace.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about Leave No Trace. This is a book where I still have never come up with the catchy, like, one sentence for it, but essentially in the background, there is this war that's going on between humans and Fae. Fae are losing their lands. So all these magical creatures are sort of starting to stream into the human world. And as we can maybe tell by some of the headlines that are out there right now, humans don't always take that it to heart. Like, they are sort of like, we don't want you here kind of thing. So there's a war that's been going on. But in the foreground, we have a young woman whose father was afraid of all this magic that's showing up in the world. And he took her and her brother into the forest and said, we're going to live off the grid. We're going to, guide people around who want to go hunting. And that's how we're going to live here for the rest of our lives. And they were just kids at the time, so they didn't know any better. But when we start the book, our main female character, Lexi, is now 18. And she has managed to encounter magical creatures in the forest that she has not told her father about, one of whom is the green man of the forest, or the Gilly Dhu out of Scottish folklore, and one of whom is Ardeo, who is the bear goddess from Irish folklore. And so this whole keep them away from magic has completely not worked. And into all of this comes two musicians and their manager, who are trying to get away from a scandal in the human world. And they saw the movie Deliverance and they did not get the right message. So they want to go hunting, they want to go bear hunting, and that is not going to go well for many, many reasons. And the other part of this is that their manager is ex-military. He fought in the human Fae war. So if anybody hates Fae more than Lexi's father, it's this manager guy, Tony. So all these people come together, and there's clashes, there's where they come together, and then there's a whole other level of getting involved in the Fae losing their worlds. So I wish I could combine that into one quick sentence, but I haven't gotten there yet.
And
were any
I will
characters
say,
from the only song worth singing, recurring in this book?
So I think the only connection between these two books, there's two mild connections
The
in
Fae
these
itself and
the thing is the world where the Fae lives is referred to as the green place because it's very green and there's various properties that it has and all of that. The second part is that there's a very tiny reference that probably I'm the only one who will ever get, where where one character, one of the musicians, refers to this old band that her parents used to listen to that they really like, and that's actually a reference to the band in the first book, because the first book takes place in the 1990s, and Leave No Trace is it's not specified, but it's a near future, and there's technology and that suggests we're not now, but we're sort of near to now. And there's a reason for all of that. So if these two books do well enough, I have a third idea in mind that would bring these characters together into a third book. But what I try to tell people is you can read either one of these books in any order you want to. There's no connection right now, but if it all goes well and I do a third book, then there will be this connection, this connective tissue where we see some of these characters reoccurring, but not right now.
Thanks.
And will you include a translator so that the Irish speakers from the only book worth or the only song worth singing can actually understand and talk to Lexi?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, the characters who speak Irish do speak English. Like Irish might be a first language, but it is English that they mostly speak. So they could totally speak to Lexi. And Lexi speaks English. The thing about Leave No Trace is Lexi has spent the last 10 years growing up in the woods. She was 8 when they moved to the woods. She's now 18. And because she's isolated a lot, I mean, she really has only had her brother and her father and a couple of people that take hunts to talk to. Because of that, she's kind of got this own, I think you used the word patois. She's got her own sort of way of talking to herself in her head.
She's developed her own sort of language based on phonetics.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of, it might seem a little cutesy, but this is just how she talks to herself. And I think if we think about how we talk to our own selves in our head, it's probably very different than the way we speak to other people aloud. So that was important to me to differentiate her from everybody else in the story, because she's had this unusual sort of, way of growing up. There was a movie that came out a bunch of years ago, Nell, which starred Jodie Foster, and I'm trying to remember who else it was. I want to say Liam Neeson, but I could be wrong. And she has grown up in the forest by herself, but she doesn't have language really that is comprehensible. Other people, that is not what I wanted to go for here. Lexi has been socialized, but she's just had plenty of time to come up with her own way of seeing the world and interpreting and speaking about it.
Yeah, and that's perfectly reasonable. She is a genius in what she knows, I would say. She comes across as very smart. I don't think it would take much for her to adjust should she choose to go out into the outside, which is what she calls the space beyond her woods.
Her name's Lexi, and she's got her own lexicon, right?
Ah, that's good. That's good. I never thought about that. The fact is
lexicon.
Well, I started writing this book many, many years ago, and by many, many, I mean like decades ago. And it was a very different sort of book at the time, although there was a big bear and they were in the woods, and we had this young woman who'd grown up there. And her name at the time was Alexa. And in the ensuing decades, when I first started using that name, because Alexa is like Alexander, and those words mean
you're gonna turn off Lisa and Phil's lights if you say the right words here.
Actually, the lights we don't have smart lights in this room.
No, exactly. So I didn't want that. So I'm like, I was sad because I loved the name Alexa, but then it became super popular. Like a lot of girls had that name for a lot of years, and then Amazon took it. So I had to change the name. But I love that you say that, Aaron, because that's one of those neat little coincidences that you don't even think about. Yeah. Absolutely have.
I've done it on the mic. I just said, Alexa, turn off the kitchen lights. And you can see in the background.
Right.
You know what? It's a little subtle, but there's your one sentence synopsis of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lexi
what would you
say? Lexicon. Lexi has her own lexicon. Aaron provided that.
I don't know if it's a synopsis, but a blurb.
Yeah. Well, it's a good tagline of some sort. Yeah. But I like that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a little work, but you could actually create Lexi's lexicon.
I could put something in the back in the glossary area for just Lexi.
You mentioned Nell. It also reminded me a little bit of movie Hannah. Have you ever seen Hannah?
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hanna, Hannah with Siobhan. What's her last name?
Yeah, that was good.
Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
Just the relationship between her father and the young daughter. It's kind of reminded me of that a little bit. I like that movie.
No, it's a great movie, and I actually watched the TV series they made on Amazon, which was good, and then it kind of got really far from the original. But I did like the series. I've kind of, because I started writing this so long ago. When I say long ago, I mean like I literally had a draft of this when I was in middle school. I feel like a lot of the research and the tropes of growing up in the woods or surviving in the woods, that's kind of just lived with me my entire life. So I've just been fascinated with that sort of thing. But where this actually comes from is when I was about 10 or 11, we had a very early version of cable TV, as in one channel. And we saw a lot of foreign films that way because HBO had all the official Hollywood films. You got a lot of foreign films. And it was great because I watched things like, all
like on TV.
Python movies. Sorry?
Oh, yeah.
There was on TV. They had like boxing events, but they did have a lot of movies playing all day long, and a lot of. Yep. There was one called the 10. It
was called Super TV in my. Yeah, we called it. It was called Super TV, and the box on top of the TV, and there was like one button, and you put it on channel 3, and like it would play, and that's how I first saw movies over and over again. Because like before that, you really couldn't watch movies again and again and again and again. Yeah. We didn't have a VCR at the time. So anyway, this one movie out of New Zealand came out. It was directed by Roger Donaldson, and it's called Smash Palace. And the movie is basically about the disintegration of a marriage. And at one point, it goes so wrong that the husband, the father, takes his young daughter, who's named Charlie, I think. She's like 7 or 8 years old. And they go and they live. He's like, we're going to live off the grid in the New Zealand bush. And if you know anything, like the Australian bush is dry and very deserty, but in New Zealand, it's like the jungle. It's very woodsy. And that's a very small part of the movie. They end up not being able to stay there for various reasons. And that just, they go in and they end up coming out and he gets arrested, etc. But I remember at the time thinking to myself, well, what if they didn't leave? How would this actually work? So that just kind of stuck with me as the story. And I took it from there. And I didn't know enough about the New Zealand bush. I'd never been to New Zealand at the time. So I decided to put it in the Rocky Mountains, which I was able to do a lot of research on. And years later, I spent like a week working there with a group and staying in, yurts along the way. So I feel like I can't say I've lived her life, but I know a lot more about what it's like in that woods and how to be in the woods there. So
have you hunted?
I have not hunted. I have shot a gun and I have shot bows and arrows. I actually like archery. I've been doing archery a long time, but I've never done it. I did the gun thing just so that I could have the muscle memory of what that's like, so I could write about it. And I'm visiting family in Texas. What else are you going to do, right? So, but I've been doing archery since basically like high school, and I do like that a lot. I like the target practice of it, and the line.
I'm interested in trying archery. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you should.
What
it's
do you
good.
Well, it just struck me as something extremely dangerous to do for middle school kids. I mean, I took the class.
Oh yeah, no, they didn't teach that in Cincinnati Public Schools.
Look, I grew up in the 80s. We played outdoors. We walked to school by ourselves.
Right.
Latchkey kids. We drank out of the fire. We drank out of the garden hose.
Yeah.
We joined the archery club for this year for our POA, the Property Owners Association, and where we moved.
Right. Nice.
Cool.
I'm on the north face of the highest mountain in Ventura County, but I'm living in Kern County, the county lines near the peak. And
cool.
I haven't used it yet.
All of you, or just?
I've golfed half a dozen times or more, but I haven't. I think it's $25 a year for the family.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Are the boys interested?
Everybody was interested. We just went out and did it. We're homebodies.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the
I'm
middle of the
interested
forest.
in trying archery because it's something
Pretty
I
isolated.
could probably do, considering I am wheeled. So,
yeah, you absolutely could. I've definitely seen people who do that. There's no reason you could. Your angle will be a little different, probably.
Yeah, you might have to go sideways with it.
Well, also I'm left-handed. So
Well, I knew some kids in high school. I would never put a bow and arrow in their hands.
Oh yeah, no.
The way they played dodgeball was pretty violent as it was.
The fact that they still play dodgeball at all is kind of amazing to me. That's one of those gym class things.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was the '80s. Now it's actually making a comeback.
Well, we had this kid named Greg Grimes. He was about 6'2" when he was 13 years old, and he would just wind up and just annihilate everybody. People be like,
basically hit the deck. That's it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. My goal with dodgeball was to get hit immediately.
Right. Just get it over with.
Get
eliminated. I'm done. Yeah. I got hit. I did my job. I'm sitting over there.
What's that old Dan Aykroyd skit where he did bag of glass and light canisters of
Jane, you
fire.
Ignorant slut.
These were kids' toys, though, right? Bag of broken glass.
Yeah, they were supposed to be.
Oh, right. Okay.
He was like a real Stevie salesman who was saying, "Look, it's a bag of glass. It's fine. You
give
it to the kids, it's
fine."
I think
flammable Halloween costumes and stuff.
Jane Curtin was interviewing him about the toys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Halloween costume that you actually had to set on fire for it to be the costume. It was just
the flammable costume.
Yeah, Johnny Human Torch. That's what it was.
Yeah, Johnny Human Torch.
Yeah. And he'd always adjust
bag
his
of glass
tie
and he'd do that weird tie. Yeah, like you said.
Well, that's a good old day. Those days are gone.
But that was like the 70s. That was actually the 70s.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. I was a teenager in 1980, so I don't know if that counts as growing up in the 80s. I think I'm kind of a 70s child because I was born in 66, So I had the whole decade of the 70s, the decade and the 80s, and really a little bit of the 90s, but not much, where, it was like, Mom, we're going to the creek.
Right.
And, be home before the lights go out. Or
exactly.
Come on.
Right.
Literally, we lived that life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
my mom was for that time frame. My mom was something of a helicopter parent because a friend of hers had an experience with her child where she was in like a I don't know if you remember Gold Circle.
That's probably local.
Woolworth. Let's say Woolworth.
They were both local, Gold Circle and Zara.
Kind of like a store that had a little bit of everything, like you see now with maybe Dollar General or Family Dollar. but a little more upscale than
It
that.
wasn't a dollar store.
No, it was a Gold Circle. It was Gold Circle, so it was like a department store, but like
it was a
step
department store.
below
That's all it
like
was.
any of the ones like Kohl's or anything.
Yeah,
But
the
it
evolution.
had
They were
all
usually
the
open
stuff.
pretty late, so I could go at
Right.
like 11:45 at night and buy a cassette.
Right. And she left her daughter looking at something. I don't know what it was. Stepped away for a moment, turned around, their daughter was gone.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
She happened to be, what it was she was in the restroom. She was changing her baby, and her smaller daughter and her older daughter, like, she had just gotten to the point where she could push open doors. So she was very excited by that. She pushed open the door and went out of the bathroom, and she turned around as like, come back here immediately. And she didn't come back. And so she went to look for her. And luckily the bathroom was right across from security. Security immediately closed the entire store, shut off all of the doors. I mean, including the back, they couldn't get out. And when they found the child, the people who had taken her had drugged her. They had changed her clothing, and they had colored her hair.
Wait a minute. You were in the
In the store?
No, I wasn't there.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about my mom's friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I lost track.
Yeah.
Because
this happened to my mom's friend. And
kinda
after
eased into
that
that story,
freaked
yeah.
out my mom. And so she was more careful than a lot of 70s parents.
Wow, that's quite a story, because like I was under the impression that like security was right there, so security closed off the store and the girl was found. But you say they actually got her out of the store and died there. That's crazy.
No, they did find her. Okay.
Yeah.
What they did was they stopped anyone with a small child. Any child like 10 or under. They had the woman come and see them. And when she came up, she didn't think it was her daughter because the clothes, the hair color.
You said they actually drugged her?
Yeah.
So she didn't smell like hair dye? I don't know. This doesn't hold water.
I don't. Okay. Whatever.
I have more questions, but of course, that's for another podcast.
They were ready to hair dye, but when she saw her from a distance, she did not realize that was her child.
So not everything worked out serendipitously.
Back then, they had like this shampoo that you could temporarily color your hair with.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It was in the brown bottle. My mom used it.
Uh-huh.
That was her shampoo. That's all she used. And it kept her hair from being too gray. And it started with an F, but I can't remember the name of it.
You know what that story reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of what is urban fantasy?
Well, you're thinking of an urban legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an urban legend.
Urban fantasy is like the books that I write. So that's like the idea that most people, when you say fantasy, they think it's like Game of Thrones, where it's all swords and sorcery and back in the medieval or some version of medieval times with peasants and all that. But the kind of fantasy that I write and a lot of other people write, it's referred to as either urban or contemporary fantasy because it's
more
placed
modern.
In the more modern era, and the magical creatures are in our world as opposed to a historical type of book.
So like maybe a modern
music in the second book
interpretation of urban, or I'm sorry, Aaron. It's sort of like a musical interpretation of like a Shakespearean play or something would be, but that's not fantasy, I guess. But
well, you said musical though. I mean,
I threw him off, but I was asking, is there music in the second book? And he was asking a different question entirely.
Right. Well, there are musicians in the second and in my second book.
There's musicians again. Okay.
And musicians in Leave No Trace.
I think that's a very important point too, Aaron. I want to get to that, but I'm just wondering. I heard you use this term. Or there was actually a podcast you were on where the host was talking about. They specialized in urban fantasy. Several minutes, I finally figured out what she meant. But I just thought it was interesting. There's all these subcategories. Would you say that
urban fantasy
Leave
is
No
more
Trace
like
is an urban fantasy?
I'm sorry, Phil. Can you say the question one more time?
Sorry.
Would you say that Leave No Trace is an example of an urban fantasy?
Definitely.
Yes, I mean, I think that the locution has become more contemporary fantasy because, if nothing else, there is no urban in Leave No Trace. Like we're in the forest, so you don't want people to think that it takes place in the city, for example. So, and urban sometimes has a little bit of a tinge to it these days in terms of not being as positive as it used to be. So I think most people are
They do
saying
have a tendency to go dark.
right. So contemporary fantasy is kind of what I say as much as I can. But yeah, that's a contemporary. What contemporary means now or now-ish. And I think that anything
You're
past
actually near
about
future,
19,
huh?
yeah, something past like 1950, 1960, I think we could consider to be contemporary. But prior to, say, that, World War II, anything earlier than that, I think we would consider to be, if not high fantasy. High fantasy is another one where you have the castles and all of that. But if you were to take the Fae creatures and put them in, say, 1910, I would not consider that to be contemporary fantasy.
Yeah.
So, Game of Thrones fits into high fantasy very well.
Yeah.
But what about oh darn it,
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you say that's high fantasy?
Yeah, it practically defines the whole thing. I mean, it wasn't the first, but definitely it's what I think most people think of when you think of high fantasy first is Lord of the Rings.
I
Sword
can't get that.
fighting,
So
magic
Dragon Riders
creatures.
of Fern.
Yeah,
Would
high
you
fantasy.
say that's high fantasy? Okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can't get that
I kind of think it has an urban twist because it starts because they're escaping an overly urban world and going
Yeah,
to.
but it's not contemporary, right?
Is it like the
Well-
20th century sort of urban world? Or are we talking about like?
Oh no, future. So I guess it could be future.
Well, then maybe.
Yeah.
But it is high
Yeah.
fantasy because it has castles and a feudal society.
Right. Yeah,
But
embarrassingly, I have never read those books, so I'm not
Oh,
familiar.
really?
I know of them for sure, and they're classics.
I've read all of her books.
Okay.
I've
When
read
were they
all
written?
of her son's books.
How long ago was she writing the
Like
books?
60s and 70s.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're classics of the genre.
She has since
Yeah.
passed,
Might
unfortunately.
have been. I guess it would have been contemporary
and her son
then.
has continued her,
Well, if she was writing about it all taking place
What are you
in the
looking for?
future, I don't know. That the thing is, all of these little divisions,
Yeah,
they don't
pigeonholes.
have to matter. It's all fantasy, but
Mhm.
not everybody likes everything, right? So if you
Right.
want to only be reading books about sword and sorcery, then high fantasy, epic fantasy, that'll help clue you in. Whereas if that's
Mhm.
not really your bag, and honestly, I did read all of Game of Thrones, and I can enjoy that stuff, but my stuff tends to be, let's take these magical creatures or these mythical creatures and let's put them in the modern world and let's shake it up and see what happens.
Yeah,
So that's my interest.
I'm one of those people who read the books,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's kind of like the movies, the TV show, just
I couldn't help but think about this image.
Yeah, the Cottonley fairies.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
you brought that up.
It was like this is the early version of Photoshop, basically. But they were putting it forward as if these young women had encountered these actual fairies, and these are supposed to be real fairies in the picture. Where to me it doesn't look like it at all. But I guess
Oh
at the time,
yeah. It looks pretty fake now.
this is from like the
Yeah.
is it like the 1920s or something like that?
Yeah, and really, to a lot of people, photography was still somewhat new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you didn't know what you could do with it. I mean,
Yeah, this is the
this
is the equivalent of like AI today, right? Like we can see that they don't look right. People are still adjusting to the fact that AI doesn't look right, but that's like the 1920s version of AI.
Right. And I'm one of those people. Oh, is that AI? Honey, is that AI? I can't tell.
It's
But
hard.
I'm not looking at those, they've got a sixth finger details.
When
Right,
I try to
yeah.
detect bad AI, it's not usually how it looks. It's like, what are they doing? What are they saying? This makes sense, 'cause
Right.
if they show somebody, a prominent person that's
Like the real puppy, the mechanical puppy that looks like a real dog and acts like a real dog, that's AI. When you get the dog, you do not get that dog.
Right. I mean, you have to train your
it's a
eye
cool
on this
dog,
AI stuff.
But
yeah. It's about training your eye on it the same way that if we watch CGI from just 20 or 30 years ago, we can kind of tell where the seams are because we're used to it now.
Yeah.
But if you train your eye to figure out what's AI and what's AI, I think it's even more important these days.
Yeah, you can always see the extra fingers and the weird stuff it's doing right now.
Right.
Oh, it's getting pretty good, but there are ways to tell and detect and all of that, and not necessarily swallow every video you see whole.
Right.
This is kind of a soapbox I get onto, so you may not want to have this conversation.
Well, and I mean, there's the whole thing about you know, the tax breaks for companies, and that'll help with employment. No, it won't.
No, not at all.
Every dime that they get from tax breaks is going towards developing ways to get away from using humans as employees. Every single one.
What was the term I heard today? A tax on labor, or labor is a tax on business, or something like that, and we need to eliminate the tax.
The labor tax
source. It's like, it's ruthless. I mean, it's getting pretty bad. But.
Yeah. I mean, eventually the book, I don't know if you've read Ready Player One. Really good. Eventually, we're headed in that direction.
By the way, I just saw this recently. If we're going to talk about Ready Player One for a second, if you ever get a chance, pull up the movie poster where the main character is in the foreground and he's like climbing up a ladder. And this was like the official movie poster. I think there were some other ones. This apparently was the movie poster. And Phil, if you actually pull that up, I'll point out where the AI disaster is, or the Photoshop disaster is on it that went out. But it's if you ever look up that picture, there's like a big Photoshop or AI disaster.
Like the color, like the cover arts, or let me see.
It's the poster that went out for the movie.
Okay.
And again, it's got our main character climbing a ladder in the front, like he's got a whole, falling apart world. Yeah, not that one, not that. No. There's got to be there's another one. If you don't find it, it's fine. But when you get it and you pull it up, take a look at his legs. That's all I'm going to say.
Right here.
Let's see.
Yeah. It's got the moon in the background, kind of.
Yeah. Can you share it?
Oh, I thought it was sharing. Okay.
Yeah. So zoom in on that. Can you click on that and zoom in on it or something?
Let's see if I can get it. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So so look. There's his knee, and there's his left foot right there. You see where the foot is. Now see his other foot. Where's his other foot? That's the bottom of his other foot.
Yeah.
20 foot.
That was the official poster. That went out there.
Yeah.
That's what you get when you get AI rather than actual artists.
Yeah.
Yep. That's there's a disparity there. There's like a 6'6" tall man combined with a 5'6" tall man.
Yeah, exactly. This was not part of the original script. Let's put it that
way.
Yeah, he didn't have one leg 4 feet longer than the other.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I just saw a video about that the other day, and it was cracking. So I'm like, the thing about AI is that whether or not, like, let's pretend you don't care at all about the fact that it steals from artists or it steals from writers or all of that. Like, let's pretend you don't care about it.
Or that it uses all the power on the grid.
All of these servers that they're building are using fresh water to cool themselves. They're drawing power from the grid. They are making your electricity bills go up higher. And at this point, we see those are all things that if the companies who are going to make money off of them, they should be paying for that stuff. But I still don't agree they should be using it. I mean, it's just, we have limited resources, and this is where we're pouring it into.
Right.
It's like, just think this all the way through, guys. And the fact is, it hasn't done anything. It still hasn't solved any cancers. It still hasn't made everybody's lives easy. It makes us do more things like laundry and takes away the creative things we want to do. I mean, we've been using AI on some level for many years. Like every time you've done like a spell check or something with your Microsoft Word, like that's a version of AI, but that is a tool as opposed to the creator itself. And I think that there's a fine line, a big line, not even a fine line, a very big line of difference between the two. And I've been on panels a bunch at conventions this year talking about it with people. And I was really fascinating because I was sitting at a bar and we were talking about this panel we were going to be on about AI. And this guy said, well, isn't it easier for you as writers if you could just put a bunch of prompts in and it would give you a whole synopsis for a book? Like, wouldn't you want that? And I looked at him and I said, look, I'd seen you with a guitar earlier and you're a musician, right? He said, yeah. And I said, well, then take that and put that on yourself. What if you just threw a bunch of notes into AI and it gave you a song? How good would you feel about like that? Would you want AI to be writing your songs for you? And he's like, I didn't think about it that way. And to me, that is such an obvious comparison.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
astonished you didn't think of it that
Any
way. But
art.
not everybody puts those pieces of the puzzle together.
Right.
So you kind of have to.
Well, you know what? I took my phone apart last week so I could figure out where all the springs go, because that's the only jobs that are going to be left. And I put it back together, so I did pretty good. I feel like I passed that test. But
That's good. You could not get AI to put that phone back.
no. Those are the only jobs that will be available pretty soon. But yeah,
It's scary.
It is scary. Yeah.
Another issue is AI consuming copyrighted works into their large language models.
Right. Well, there's been there's been a settlement recently with Anthropic and an author named Andrea Bartz. That's the big lawsuit you may have heard of. That Anthropic, which is this large language models company, is now going to have to pay out over $1 billion to the authors that it took works from, because it took copyrighted works and ingested them. And the courts have now said that is not fair use, to use to translate into your system and to build a new company on it. So they're going to have to start paying out money. I've got money coming to me from that.
Excellent.
There's so many titles in that I'm not even a huge author, and they just took from everybody.
Yeah.
Insane. I did.
Yep.
I did a betrayal, I guess. I did do an AI search on your book to get a little synopsis of it, just to see what would come back.
Stop it,
But
man.
yeah,
It's
well,
about the fifth time I told you stop using
I
AI.
don't do it that often. I self-confess also, and I don't do it that
Yeah.
often. But I come on here and I do tell.
But you do it
myself.
again.
That doesn't.
Yeah, you're not.
He's
gonna
addicted,
stop
man.
it.
He's addicted.
I feel like
I
that
can't get him to close a
I feel-
cabinet door after 32 years.
I feel like
can't
I'm
get
not
him to stop
corruptible.
doing that.
I feel like I can do that.
doesn't want to
It's not-
stop.
I'm not implementing.
Nobody who ever was corrupted thought that they were
That's right.
Well,
that they could be corrupted.
But it's like the example of your musician friend. He couldn't get untracked from his own, thesis on what this was, the ultimate benefits of this to even reflect on it himself. I mean, that's symptomatic of a lot of people, in society right now. The intractable position that they take, and a lot of carnage in the wake of that type of thinking.
Well, you know how people talk, how water will seek out the lowest source so that it can get out, right? Like people are often like that too. It's like, what is the least possible effort I need to put into this? And I'm not putting shade on you and everything, Phil. We've all got lives, but what is the least possible effort I need to put into this thing so that I can get the result that I need, right? Like I'm like that too. So the thing is that AI feeds into that need that we have to accomplish as much as possible with as little effort as possible.
And we do a lot of audio because we're both still working full time. So, and we don't have as much time to read. We have to deal with some other stuff, and so we don't have as much time to read a book as we would like, as I used to when I was young. So I spend the whole day, I'm working from home. I'm listening to audiobooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten used to that. Aaron reads paper books. He finds the time. He makes the time.
I haven't read a book in months.
Well, let me clarify. I did not. That was not the sole research I did on the book.
No, he also read
also
some
read.
of the books.
Yeah.
Please understand, I'm not throwing shade on it.
Right.
I haven't have shade on me
I'll
right
be
now.
back.
All right.
Just stop using AI. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Didn't it give us an incorrect synopsis of our own episode once too? Or no, it was a track
Well, that's the other
list. We
problem.
were
You
doing
might
an
get
album
mistakes.
review, and it gave you the wrong track list, I think.
Right.
Oh yeah, it did. So, I'm just curious about what's out there. I'm not. I don't use it. I don't implement.
Yeah, I've been reading about some of the stuff Grok's been saying about
about
Elon Musk lately.
It says some extraordinarily inflammable shit about what's going on.
Although he is the greatest in the world at chugging piss, is apparently one.
Never. Yeah.
How did we get to this
He's
part
more
of the
fit than
conversation?
LeBron James.
Well, that's all that
And,
the AI
Grok
would bring,
would-
bring it to, I guess.
If Grok had to choose between saving every child in the world or saving Elon Musk, if they were all lined up on a train track, it was trying to. It chose Elon Musk.
Hmm.
I think the thing is also that we are, we are a bunch of grown-ups talking about this, and we can like laugh at it and point out the problems of it and look at the absurdities of it. But I hate to go into the think of the children mode, but the fact is that lots of kids are using this stuff.
Just think of the
and
gullible
not
mode.
learning in the process. And this is normal for them. Like, you give 5 years of anything and you get enough kids who like, this is just how the world works. Think about something that was a new technology when you were first growing up. Like, we've always had video games in our homes, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's just something that just feels normal. And the normalization of AI is one of the other big problems, because you get a whole generation where it's going to be much more intractable to get rid of, to change. You're going to see that they won't have learned what they need to learn because they will have simply turned to the AI, or turned to Chat GPT or Chat GPT for like friends or essays or whatever. And it just feels like it's not even a slippery slope. It's basically it's a downward arc.
So it must be
it's a roller coaster.
It must be a tremendous challenge for teachers to siphon through that, because kids are they will find end arounds. They might take an entire essay or something
Cliff
like
Notes
that.
users of our day.
Yeah.
Oh, I use Cliff Notes too. I'm not. I'm no better than that. If I had Chat GPT, I probably would have used it when I was in school. But that would be scary because I would not have learned what I needed to learn. And there was an author on one of the panels, one of these AI panels, and he said something to the effect of, "Well, look, I just use it to synopsize my own book. Like, I put the information about the book in, and that's how I get the synopsis of my book, because that's very hard to do." And what we said to him was, "Look, that is a hard thing to do. And you will never get better at it if you keep asking AI to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So get better at it by doing it yourself."
Right.
And that's what they were saying with him. Yes, you can use these things as a crutch, but once you start using a crutch enough, your muscles atrophy.
Right.
So
exactly.
That's what we were trying to convey in this panel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard not to be alarmist about it or be a catastrophizer about it, because I feel like we only started talking about this seriously about 3 years ago, and here we are, and now we're just pulling our hair out.
Right. So
and we are currently talking about the book Leave No Trace.
Right.
Well, that's what the subject is. But honestly, most of our podcasts never actually stay on the subject. We introduce the subject because instead of giving major spoiler alerts, we want people to read the book.
Well, I feel like this discussion leads to something that I was really interested in, wanted to ask you about. When you're talking about art, I hear tech giants and tech people, they'll say, we can perfectly reproduce artistic works, whether it's writing or at least that's going to be the ideal of AI. But don't
actors.
And the administration has taken over the Kennedy Center. I hear this crap that Trump has an idea of art, and that he likes to listen to show tunes or something, and he's trying to take art. He's actually trying to infiltrate the art world. Don't you feel like there has to be an element of humanity or empathy in art in order for it to be great? And that can only come from a human.
Yeah. At this stage, we don't have advanced enough independent robot minds to even compare the two, right? The human element is just something that it's one of those, it when you see it, it when you feel it. And there's a randomness to that. I mean, only I could put together every single element that goes into Leave No Trace.
Right.
Just like you could only put in every single element that goes into your music, or that kind of thing. It's the lived experience that we have, and the ways in which that lived experience reflects off of what we're thinking, what we see, and all that, and then how we put all those pieces together. I mean, I took a movie that I saw when I was like 10 years old, one part of a movie when I was like 10 years old, and sort of said, what if?
And created a world.
And created a world out of it based on other things that I encountered or was interested in.
Right.
And even if you poured my entire brain into AI, I do not think that AI would ever, given 1,000 years of 1,000 monkeys and all of that, come up with the exact same book. I just don't, that would not have happened, because it's not the same thing. And we need to treasure and respect what art is, and let the machines do the machine things that, like people have said on the internet, Let them do the laundry.
Mhm.
Let them do the things that do not benefit me or enhance my life, so that I can go and do the things that enhance my life and enhance civilization and
Right.
enhance.
Give me time to actually read a book while the laundry's getting done.
I mean,
Or the dishes are getting
the
done.
AI view, right?
I wouldn't mind having a dishwasher.
Something that's functional that enables you to pursue something creative. But
Mhm.
it's like there's a blind spot. I feel like that there are people that just don't see that. They don't understand the conversation between the artist and the connoisseur. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't get that. They feel like that it can
They don't
be
put 2 and 2
reproduced, or that the connoisseur can be fooled. And I don't think they
Mhm.
can. And I really just don't think that's possible.
I think a lot of people just don't really take the natural sort of steps 4, 5, 6. Like they sort of look at step 1 and step 2 and say that's the end of it. And that's because we're busy, and and look, not everybody is intelligent. Like some people just are not going to think that way. And I'm not saying you have to be intelligent to think that way, but people have other things to think about. They don't necessarily. Yeah, it does help. But one of the things that has struck me over the past several years is to realize that, look, just because I think a certain way and I have taken steps to go, to the next 3 or 4 steps, doesn't mean that everybody else spent any time at all on that. They're raising kids, they're building houses, they're doing other things with their time and their brain cells. So, it's fine with me to explain all of this and talk about it. We seem to have lost Aaron, unfortunately.
Yeah, it happens.
There he is. But it doesn't mean that everybody else thinks that way. So it's about having that conversation with the guy at the bar who maybe is even a creative, but still hasn't had the steps 3, 4, and 5 in his mind.
Right.
So
well, and I mean, okay, I could see using AI, like if I was in school, I could see using AI to kind of help write a paper, maybe to help create the outline, that kind of thing. Only because, and then I would, of course, being me, I would completely rewrite it. I mean, it would be original by the time I was done with it.
Then why use it to begin with?
Just as a starting, I have trouble getting started with.
If you're going to completely rewrite it,
I have this tendency to either be able to start something or finish it. I don't seem to be able to do both.
For me, the writing process is a long series of digestion, right? You take in information, you think about it, you chew on it mentally, it goes through all different processes, and then finally you try to make that transition from what you're thinking about in your head to what is out in the world. And that is the hardest transition to make. I've met musicians who are like, there was a musician I interviewed once from a band called The Laws, and they were out of Liverpool, and they had a very Beatle sound. They came out in the 90s. They had that song, There She Goes. And they put out one album, and the lead singer named Lee Mavers, he hated the album because it didn't sound like what it was in his head. And he basically, firebombed the entire press tour because he would go around and tell everybody in the press just how awful he thought the album was. So making that transition from your head to the real world is very hard, but it requires a lot of digestion. And my thought is that if you take one step out of that digestion, you're sort of making it a weaker final result. It's still not, it's going to be less of what you were hoping it was going to be. It's like if we went literally with digestion and you like, okay, I've got the food in my mouth, but let's take my throat out of the whole thing and just fast forward it to my gut. There's an essential missing part there is my take. So, not, again, you should do what you need to do. I'm not telling you you're a bad.
Oh yeah, no, I don't do that. I mean,
but
I do have the first chapter of my high fantasy novel written. It's been written for 12 years.
Yeah. Look, Leave No Trace was decades in the making. And so was the only song worth singing. I started a version of that when I was in college. So they just required a lot more digestion. And I had to be ready for it also. I was not ready to show these books to the world or I wasn't confident enough.
It's part of the digestion.
The digestion. Exactly. I'm well digested now.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I mean, I have some short stories, and if I were to put out a short story book, I would probably call it Things from My Head.
So we're at the point in the episode
because none of them match.
We've got to decide if we're going to do an Elite 8, and I'm going to ask Aaron to take the temperature of the room. What do you think, Aaron?
Go ahead. What's the
I think
subject.
we did this last time you were on, Randee. So I took literary monsters. And
Okay.
as you might recall, the exercise is to square off 8 different literary monsters, and we basically it's a Ginger versus Marianne type thing. Which one?
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Are you up to it, or
Let's give it a shot. It can only go down in flames.
all right? Here we go. Round 1. Pennywise versus the Headless Horseman, and I'll start with Aaron.
Headless Horseman, man.
Okay.
Ichabod Crane.
Randee.
Now, are we talking about if they went up in a battle or who's the greater?
I just
What
Who's
is
the
your preference,
my preference?
Yeah.
Your
Ginger
brother.
or Marianne?
Some more going on with
Is
Pennywise.
it if they're gonna fight or if you're gonna marry one of them? It's up to you.
No
Which
pun
one?
intended. No pun intended. But basically, the Headless Horseman is a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And
Very good.
Pennywise is a clown.
Pennywise has a lot of stuff going. I don't like clowns, but
I
Pennywise is
hate clowns.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of clowns from early childhood.
So who do you pick?
I like the cartoon with
Pennywise.
Bing Crosby doing the singing and narration.
I'm going to go with Pennywise too, because Randee convinced me that he's more multi-dimensional than the Headless Horseman. Even though the Headless Horseman, that was
That scared the shit out of me when I was little.
I'm gonna
Pennywise wasn't in my childhood.
for part 3. I'm gonna call a bit of an audible. Okay.
Okay.
But you go ahead and do Mr. Hyde versus Grendel.
Yes.
Oh, oops, just did it.
Mr. Hyde versus Grendel from Beowulf.
Whew.
That's a tough one.
I never read Beowulf, so I'm gonna have to go Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Grendel just because we did read that in school and we didn't read Jekyll and Hyde in school. I think both, that's a tough one because they're both legends in their own time, as it were. But I'm going to go with Grendel just because Grendel, I never had a good grip on what Grendel was supposed to look like. It's like it's this amorphous monster that you can make for yourself.
Right.
And
Sometimes those are the best kind. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Grendel.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go Mr. Hyde on this one because it reflects into duality of human nature.
Mm-hmm.
How even the most evil people can have a kind side.
Well, I'm going to go with Mr. Hyde also because when I was a kid, I saw I think his name was Lionel Barrymore, the silent version where he
right.
and he'd fall down behind the lab desk and he'd come back up choking her. And that's like terrified me when I was a kid. I was like, oh my God, that's so
I keep flashing on the Bugs Bunny version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's much more healthy, I'm sure, than mine.
Now, here's where I'm calling
Hocus
it
cadabra.
audible. Philip has some comparisons that I don't feel are good matches. So I'm going to change it up for 3 and 4.
Okay.
Cthulhu versus Medusa.
Ladies in the house. I got to go with the ladies.
Yeah.
Don't get enough lady monsters. And, she's misunderstood. She has a bad hair day. And he's after her,
Yeah, she's cursed.
The worst hair
She
day,
was
sure.
she was a lovely woman, and some asshole decided he wanted her. He took her, whether she liked it or not. She was basically raped, and then his wife curses her for being raped. I mean, it's biblical.
Those gods did a lot of raping.
Oh yeah.
So you're on record for Medusa also.
Oh, yeah.
So that's 2. What about you?
I find
Medusa.
Cthulhu, but
that's
he's definitely Medusa.
That's a sweep.
Okay. And then the last matchup is Queen Grimhild from Snow White versus the Phantom of the Opera.
What's the queen's name in Snow White?
Philip wrote Grimhild.
The
Okay.
one
She's
that
the one who says, how am I the fairest in the land? That's the one.
I know who she is.
Right,
I just
right.
never heard her name.
No, I
I
was
just thought of her
clarifying
as
for
Yeah,
myself.
I
evil
didn't know
queen.
she had a name until I read
gave
this.
the poison apple to Snow
Yeah.
White.
Right.
So it's her
Apparently
versus
she
who?
had a name.
keeps appearing in the window at Disneyland.
Versus the Phantom of the Opera.
Mhm.
Oh, right.
Now, and for me, these are both somewhat background evil characters.
Yeah.
The Phantom of the Opera is hidden, he's damaged, and he's jealous. And it's the same thing with the Queen in Snow White.
Do we have a vote yet?
So
I'm going
kinda-
with the evil queen in Snow White.
Okay.
There's another one that scared me when I was little.
I'm going to go with Evil Queen also, because the fact is I didn't like Snow White all that much anyway. She was kind of a simp.
Okay, well, you know.
You didn't like Snow White. She was a
I
little
was waiting
too
for
goody
some
good.
man to come wake her up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the current Snow White, loving
But
her.
I eat an apple from a stranger, come
The
on.
bad
Yeah.
Snow White.
Right.
Well, but I mean, here's the thing. This is a thing back then where they would poison people. What they would do is they would find a thing on the apple, and they would put poison in that part of the apple.
Mm-hmm.
Then they would take a bite of the apple to prove it was safe and give it to their guest.
Right.
This was actually common practice, and the guest would eat the apple and die.
So that means you're Snow White.
Common practice of murder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you Snow White?
Yeah.
Sweetie?
Apparently, it was a thing they did.
I wish I had a picture where you went as Snow White. Halloween.
Yeah, I went. I have the fair skin, the pink cheeks, the dark hair, the blue eyes. So of course, I identify with Snow White.
Well, no matter what you vote,
that's
I'm
my
going to go with
princess.
Snow White too. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
Another sweet.
Another sweet. Yep. Where's your broom?
Huh?
Oh,
I don't know.
all
Get
right,
the
so
AI in here with the broom.
Probably under something you moved of mine that I can't find now.
probably. All right, here we go. Round
He
two.
cleans, quote unquote. He just basically puts stuff somewhere.
We're down to the final four
No
here.
rhyme or reason.
Pennywise versus Mr. Hyde.
Oh, I'm still with Pennywise on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll go Pennywise on this one.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Totally.
three. I'm gonna throw one to
Those
Mr.
clowns.
Hyde, but it is Pennywise that moves on.
Okay.
There have been like 3 or 4 Pennywises now in the movies. Was Tim Curry Pennywise?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was the first one.
So, Medusa
Alexander
versus the Wicked
Skarsgård.
Queen.
Yeah.
Which one do you like better, the first one or the new one?
I'm sorry. Are we back on Pennywise again?
I only watched the new one, part 1, and I
Okay.
think I had to watch that for a podcast.
Yeah.
They're both good. It's hard
Is it a movie
to
villain
Yeah.
what I would really love to do is look at their other roles. I'd like to see the Tim Curry from his Rocky Horror and Alexander Skarsgård from his Murderbot. I want those two.
Murderbot. Oh my God, they're both so good. If you haven't seen those, girl, scream.
Oh, I have. They're great. I'm gonna stick with I would go with Tim Curry just because legend. Alexander Skarsgård, no problem with him, but legend.
Oh, I mean, I adore Alexander Skarsgård. I think even though initially I didn't love the casting of him for True Blood as Eric, I think he really owned the role.
All right, we're down to
We
2
got
minutes.
I think he's a
2
good
minutes
actor,
and 15
but,
seconds
yeah,
2
here.
minutes and 15 seconds. Okay, so Medusa versus Snow White.
Snow White Queen. The queen.
Oh yeah,
the evil queen.
The queen. Grimhild.
Hmm.
Grimhild. Yeah.
Jealous bitch or tragic victim?
Well, Randee, which one do you like?
I go with Medusa.
Medusa?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yeah, Medusa.
Old school.
Yeah, because in the original, there's no cure for what happens if Medusa gets you.
Yeah.
All right,
Also,
so
we barely have a name for the Snow White Queen. Like
The
we
cure's
just
a
learned
chisel.
the name.
Right.
Hammer and chisel.
I didn't know she had a name until Philip
well, I
wrote
looked
it
it
down.
up.
Exactly.
But not an AI on a traditional web search.
That's right.
Well done.
Any traditional web search has doesn't Google have
No,
some
you can
AI?
eliminate. Aaron will tell you how to do that. But we're down to a minute.
okay.
So now we have our championship is Pennywise versus Medusa.
Oh God.
Pennywise.
It always works out like
Yeah, I think in this case I'm going to stick with Pennywise again. I'm afraid he's the more powerful. He's the more layered. He's got more.
He's a demon.
I'm going Medusa still.
And you can defeat Medusa with a mirror.
Well, I'm going to go with Pennywise, in part because we don't have time to
argue.
Fight on this.
But Pennywise is
Expedient.
a formidable champion for sure. So it's totally legit. So Randee, where can we find your books and your socials? Anything you want to promote?
If you look at my name, underneath that it says author/RandeeDawn.com. Just go to RandeeDawn.com. All my books are there, all my articles are there, my blog posts, my socials, everything you can possibly want. I'm very easy to find on the internet. I do not hide.
All right.
Randee with 2 E's.
That's right. Randee with 2 E's.
All right. Well,
now, is that an original spelling from your parents or?
Yeah, it's not short for anything either.
All right, it's been great. Love to have
Thank
you again.
you.
Come on
Great
back
chat.
next time.
Been a
Good
blast.
seeing you
Bye,
guys.